Hey everyone, you're watching Ash on Comics. My name's Ash. Here's today's comic, Freedom Fighters number 3, Burning Down the Reich by Venditti and Burroughs. Now this has been, a not really well received book, which is kind of surprising because I think Venditti is one of the best writers in the business. His Hawkman title is outstanding. And I've been kind of defending this book because of the credentials and so forth of who's writing the book. And, the artist, of course, you can always just see for yourself whether that's for you or not for you. The first book was started off with a whimper, but then the second book really tied things up. And I gave a review and I said, these first two books should have been one book. It felt like a book cut in half. And so you got the climactic part of the story at the end, and the first part didn't have that, and it just felt weird. So I was like, okay, great. So we're on to something. Then this third book comes out, and it's not bad. I don't think Venditti really can do a bad book, but it didn't really impress me. And it left me wondering as I thought about it after I was done that who's this book for? And that's something I'm not really sure about. That's when I'm having trouble. I'm not going to do my usual review of where I just go through and kind of show you what happens with the books. You've seen before in the previous reviews, you get a good feel. My problem here is that okay, so comics are dying, right? We all know this. Yeah, print industry itself is under extreme challenges as digital takes over and other media kind of invades the space. People are glued to their smartphones, social media. So many things are occupying our time and our attention that we don't have time to sit down and read even a comic book. We don't want to necessarily go spend the money on a comic book. I can go get a free app on my phone, play some games or something. It's free. This is $4.99 or $3.99. $4. It's really challenging that you have to, this industry is facing a huge challenge. And I don't think, at least I don't think they're admitting that to recognize. I think maybe behind the scenes they do recognize, because DC is showing some maneuvers behind the scenes to really push, to really adapt to the changing times. But ultimately, the issue that I have with this book isn't that it's a bad book. It's plenty fun. This one's pretty much full of action. It's all about Black Condor. He's got to go on a reconnaissance mission, and he's carrying this antenna. So I think I skipped over. They have their underground base is a sub. Kind of reminds me of Terminator Salvation. It's in Lake Michigan. That's where they're hidden. And he's doing this aerial mission where they can bounce the signal off of him instead of tracing the signal to the sub and giving away their headquarters. So he's going to fly around. But of course, the Nazis, or the Razzies, I still don't get that, but their weird swastika symbol here. It's not a real one. It's so you can sell comics in Germany? Because I know in parts of Europe, maybe France too. I don't know what all the countries where Nazi imagery and stuff is illegal. So it's kind of sad. I feel like maybe they're doing that for the global sales, but it just bothers me. Speaking of bothering me, let's skip past that. So we get a cool action sequence of him fighting, going up against some F-16s, which was kind of weird to me in a world where Nazi Germany won World War II. We would have never invented F-16s. This is a weird thing that I see in many science fiction and comic books and things. Writers, they don't consider, you write alternate history doesn't work out still the same. Nazi Germany took over America, but, who did the F-16? Northrop Grumman? I don't know. They wouldn't even have existed to make this jet. Why don't we have a German fighter here? whatever. That's not really important. It just is one of those things that nags at me. So back to what I was saying. I feel like a book like this doesn't need to exist. It's fine. It's harmless. It's got some good action scene. We got, F-16 fighting Black Condor. Problem is like, who cares about Black Condor? Okay, I know there's probably some diehard freedom fighter fans out there, maybe from the past. I don't know, but this isn't what's selling DC Comics right now. And in an industry where you're in a decline and you're fighting for every reader you can get, and you have one of your best talents, Robert Venditti, why do you have him on this book? Why did you take him off Green Lantern, Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps? I mean, I get Hawkman. Before I was like, I don't like Hawkman. I was prejudiced. I explained that in my Hawkman reviews. I get that because Hawkman is a stable DC character. And if you can revitalize him, people do care about Hawkman. He's been around for ages, and he's part of the Justice Society. He matters, and they're doing a bang-up job with that character. But if Venditti's writing 2 other books, writing Damage, which I also understand, you want to push that line, and I've been a big proponent, push the New Age of Heroes, like that's important. But why this book? Why greenlight this book and not to say, hey, Venditti, would you like to write Superman? Like the books that matter. I know they got Bendis, who's currently ruining everything. There's got to be something out there that would be good for the guy to write. Maybe a book that ties in with Hawkman in some way. Really, dog? You got to drink water right now. Let's listen. They always know. They know I'm doing a review, so it's like, oh, I want to get some attention. So that's my issue with this book. The book is fine. If you like the idea of this book, if you've enjoyed the previous 2 issues at all, this is fine. It's like one of those harmless books. And if the industry was healthy, this would be something I could rally behind. You could push the envelope and have, you do want to have variety. You don't want to just have the same superhero books and that's it. You want to offer some different things, and I'm for that. But I'm not for when the industry's dying and you can barely sell, your main hero books. Those are the ones you got to push to keep your core. Once your core is strong, you can build out with these, weird alternate books. But you couldn't even keep New Age of Heroes. That's something you should have really committed to. And Venditti shouldn't be writing freedom fighters. As much as you may be a fan of this book, and I don't, I know there's people out there that really love it. I've had people in the comments tell me, oh, do freedom fighters, more reviews. I'm not bagging on this book. It's a fine book. It's just, when I read it, I'm just like, this is kind of a pointless book. It doesn't affect the continuity. It's not so good that it's just like really grabbing me and going, oh, where are they going with the story? It's just like, okay, some freedom fighters are fighting the Nazis. I feel like you dropped the ball. And it's already known that comics, the industry, both DC and Marvel way more than DC, put out too many books. They really need to pare down their offerings. I think when I was back collecting in the 80s and 90s, they were up to like 30 comics. And that was a lot. We were like, oh my gosh. And I think in the 80s, Marvel had like 12. There was a point. And then they got up to like around 30-ish because of the boom and the popularity and stuff. Now Marvel's at like 100 and DC's in the 70s. That's ridiculous in an industry that sells 1/10 of the number of issues per comic that it used to. That's not what they're doing. Is they're saturating the market because they know they're going to get some sales. It's easy to get 10,000 sales on a comic. It's hard to get 100,000 sales on a comic. So you can make 10 comics like this that'll get 10,000 sales easy. Much harder is to write one just great comic that will get 100,000 sales. And the fault isn't just in that company. It's because your competition is drowning you out. Marvel is destroying the industry because there are people that must get their Marvel comics, and Marvel's publishing on average of 5 new number ones every week, and people just can't afford to get comics, so they've lowered the tide. You've heard that expression, a rising tide raises all boats. Well, Marvel is lowering the tide. It's lowering all boats. And I think the only way the industry gets saved is by some sort of cooperation, collusion, or something where the big industry, the big company publishers, they all meet up and agree to be like, look, we have to work together. We have to like both cut our lines like 50%. If I agree to do it, you agree to do it. That way, no one's profiting off the other, because DC doesn't want to cut their books too much, because then Marvel takes up more of the market share, and Marvel doesn't want to drop it because they don't want to give their market share to DC. So it's this Mexican standoff. And anyways, that's what I'm talking about with this book. It's a good book. Like I said, if you liked issue 1 and 2, you're probably going to like issue 3. Or if you just were okay with it. I'm okay with this book existing. Sort of. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Hopefully that made sense. I know it's kind of I didn't hit my point home correctly, but there you have it. Freedom Fighters, cautious thumbs up, but in consideration with the industry, this should be a mainstream DC book being done well, and get rid of the junk. We have some bad creators at DC that could just go out and then put Venditti on their book. That's what you need to do. You need to get the creme de la creme. Every book you're producing needs to have top-tier talent. Right now, DC's got so many books that they put, D-level talent on some of these books, and it shows. Oh my God, you read that Female Furies book? Oh, jeez. All right, that's all I have to say. 12 minutes. I'm out. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you find any value in my channel. I got a Patreon. I would really like to have a few patrons if you have any out there. I got also a Discord channel. I'll put it all in the comments. You can see. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.